Now, this fellow made some extremely outrageous statements, and ordinarily I would never respond to this kind of trash. Okay, forgive my language, but the motherfucker really tickled the anus of a tiger, and we need to respond. He said he's starting with Forex bros, and now he will be getting to crypto, and crypto is an area I'm very sensitive and dear about. And since Forex, in a way, is a brother to crypto, it's my duty to begin with him since he has opened this war. So let's get straight to facts, to dissect stone by stone, sentence by sentence, and see what he says. This motherfucker asserted that, and obviously by the time we are done, I mean, every one of you will agree that peasants should stay away from matters of degenerates, particularly if they want to engage in some hard talk. So anyways, without wasting time, let's look at his statements. He starts by referring to Forex as basically glorified gambling. Now, listen, gents, you all know, we will all agree that every single business, first of all, I don't disagree with that statement. I do not. Simply because that every single investment, every single business in the world is essentially gambling. You went to school, education is gambling. Your father gambled on you. You're a doctor. He never knew. He simply speculated that you would become a doctor one day, and he betted on that. You go into agriculture. You bet on the rains. You have no control on the natural occurrences, on the climate, on the weather. Things happen, you have gambled. You've gambled on the prices, you've gambled that people will consume what you have cultivated. It's all gambling. You get into technology. People wake up, build websites, and they don't know if someone is going to buy their product. It's all gambling. So essentially, for you to premise your entire argument, the logic of your takedown of the Forex bros on the idea that Forex is gambling, is like to gamble is some kind of evil, this is pure nonsense. You are simply spewing gibberish. Anyways, now that we have established that gambling is actually part of our lives, the question now here is, he said that in Forex, getting into Forex is one of the most risky ventures. You have the highest chance of losing your money more than any other investment. And he simply said that the odds are stacked against you, and he mentioned how banks and the big boys control the game. Well, now, for starters, it is true. There is some truth in what he's saying, except his logic is confused. And let me explain. Let me show you how it's confused. Do the banks and bigger boys engineer or manipulate moves in the market? That is true. But that is not just in Forex. It happens in any other market in the world. Beans, maize, sugar canes, coffee. These markets are manipulated by those with more power. Do you think that Uganda has the same purchasing power as the United States? No, the United States dictates. Usually, corporations in France, in the UK, in the Western world dictate how much price the African producers will get. So the idea of market manipulation is not exclusive to Forex, and that is, you see, that is the problem with the Fiat system, which I have over and over and over called that for its common nature. And that's why I'm calling for a different system of finance, but we will talk about that later, which is the crypto system. Anyway, coming back to what he was saying, that because of this nature of manipulation, the odds are completely stacked against you. Listen, young man, Forex is not for peasants. It's not for fools. When you get into Forex, you are essentially coming against some of the most well-resourced, some of the most intelligent guys. So that means your edge, your most important advantage in this aspect is your own self-education. When you self-educate and get into this battle, you arm yourself with the tools required to beat these guys. And you have, obviously, they have some advantages, but you also have some advantages that I will explain a little bit later as we continue. Now, all of this nonsense is not necessary. Let me get to the most critical point, why I said that an investment of $100 in Forex is the most risky undertaking, because you would be aiming for $2 in 2 days at the risk of losing $100. This is stupid. It's frankly stupid. And this is what happens when you just go on Google for a few hours, Google a few things, and then come out and think you can teach people that have spent sleepless nights over months, years trying to hone their craft. Let me educate you, young man. This is how it works. Claiming for anyone wanting to be a Forex trader, and I'm not talking about thieves and thugs, making noise out there. I'm talking about genuine Forex, professional Forex traders or crypto traders. We have rules and principles that guide how this action, how we undertake our trading. Rule number one, you must have a robust risk management strategy. That is number one. Number two, you must have honed your psychological welfare, your financial psychological bedrock, because without these in Forex, you are wasting time. So what kind of risk management strategy do we use? And let me get very practical here. It is not true that an investment of $100 for $2 would mean risking $100. No, by rule, an investment of $100, you are only required to risk a maximum of 2%, but ideally we go for 1%, which means that for every trade you engage in, you say it, the reason these are called digital and automatic, they are automated. You say the amount you are willing to risk on a particular trade to only 1%. And that means that when you make your analysis, which is both fundamental, sentimental, and technical, and you speculate that a market will move in a specific direction, and the market happens not to move in that direction, which is very normal, because I told you that this is a game of probabilities. We simply try to look at the odds and look at the highest probability of winning. So if because you are not God, and no one can certainly and for sure tell where the market will end up going, you set what we call safeguards. Safeguard number one is that should the market go against you, you are willing to lose only 1% of your margin. And by margin, I mean your investment. Which means if you have $100, you are only willing to lose $1 of that money. But then in the same way, should the market happen to go as you speculated, you set your system to get you $2. And now that brings me to the risk to reward ratio. Our risk to reward ratio, like for me, if I am trading, is normally 1 to 2. And I am saying that the market goes against me, I'm losing 1%. If the market happens to go as I have speculated, I'm going to be making 2% of that money, and that is $2. So clearly, what he said, that an investment of $100 for $1 or $2 means risking $100, is pure bullshit. It's garbage. It reeks of someone that is extremely ignorant and has no idea of what he's saying. Now that I have already dismantled that kind of fallacy and lie, let's get to why exactly is it a bit difficult to make money in this market. The issue is not Forex as per se. The issue is your lack of understanding of how finance works, of how wealth is built. What happens is that when you get into this market, the market is so huge. It's almost like you've been put into a lake full of fish, and your objective, you are only required to catch 2 fish. But then when you get into the lake, you see a lot of fish swimming. Now, what happens when you catch the 2 fish? But then at home, you have to feed 100 people. And then you keep seeing a lot of fish moving. You end up getting prompted. You end up getting tempted to want to catch a 3rd fish, a 4th fish. And what happens? Normally, you end up losing even the 2 fish you had caught, because you are not taking you are not taking profit. Essentially, you are not keeping the other fish away. So you put it in the bucket, you try to catch the 3rd fish, it jumps out. That's what happens. And now, to relate it to our context, most of the people in Uganda are not educated about Forex. That's number one. Then the other thing is, most of the people getting into this industry are young people, and they are not getting in to build wealth, but to try and make money to survive. Now, someone that has gone, let's say, with fees, and it is true, people go with fees and that is mainly because of lack of education, not because of Forex, but lack of education of how the Forex market works.